Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has said it's immoral for oil and gas companies to be making record profits from an energy crisis triggered partly by Russia's war in Ukraine. He was speaking after it was revealed the biggest global energy companies made combined profits of almost $100 billion in the first 3 months of this year.
I urge all governments to tax these excessive profits and use the funds to support the most vulnerable people through these difficult times. And I urge people everywhere to send a clear message to the fossil fuel industry and their financiers that this grotesque greed is punishing the poorest and most vulnerable people while destroying our only common home.
Military exercises in the air and sea around Taiwan in response to the visit to the island by the Speaker of the US House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi. The exercises will take place in some of the world's busiest waterways and will include live-fire drills. In some areas, the manoeuvres will come within 12 nautical miles of Taiwan's coast. There have been renewed clashes between Armenia and Azerbaijan over the disputed region of Nagorno-Karabakh. Pro-Armenian separatists say 2 of their fighters have died. Here's Risto Puka.
Tensions around Nagorno-Karabakh have been mounting since late last month when Azerbaijan accused Armenia of an artillery strike to which it had responded. Yerevan denied the accusation, but since then there have been reports of more clashes. The Azeris say they have captured new territory and are now demanding the withdrawal of all Armenian and Armenian-backed fighters from the enclave. Nagorno-Karabakh broke away from Azerbaijan in the 90s, but Baku took back parts of it 2 years ago. Russia has been monitoring a ceasefire since then. It, along with Armenia, has accused Azerbaijan of violating the truce.
President Biden has signed an executive order to address the issues raised by the Supreme Court overturning the constitutional right to abortion. He says the order will support women who need to travel to another state. Mr. Biden warned Republicans they were clueless about the power of American women and referred to the overwhelming vote in favor of abortion rights in the conservative state of Kansas.
Voters made it clear that politicians should not interfere with the fundamental rights of women. And the voters of Kansas sent a powerful signal that this fall the American people will vote to preserve and protect the right and refuse to let them be ripped away by politicians. And my administration has their back.
World News from the BBC. A journalist has been murdered in Mexico's Guanajuato state, bringing the total number of reporters killed in the country this year to 13. Ernesto Mendez was shot dead along with 2 other people when armed men stormed a bar that he owned late on Tuesday. Mr. Mendez ran the local news website Tu Voz. The powerful Iraqi cleric Muqtada Usada has told his followers to continue their sit-in at the parliament in Baghdad. In a televised address, the Shia leader said that the current parliament should be dissolved and new elections held. Hundreds of pro-Sadrist supporters stormed the parliament building several days ago. A new study has shed light on the impact plastic waste is having on birds across the world, a problem that's been made worse by the vast amounts of rubbish linked to the COVID pandemic. Alex Bond of the Natural History Museum in London explained why pandemic-related debris, such as face masks, was such a problem.
Masks is not just one. It's not just one thing. You think about, you've got the ear loops, which are made of sort of an elastic. You've got the white and the blue sheeting on them. You've got the rigid piece of flexible plastic that fits over your nose. So you've got a whole bunch of ways that wildlife can seemingly interact with this. Whether it's getting entangled in the elastic, we've seen birds flying with masks tied around their legs, ingesting it, or whether it's the small little piece of flexible plastic puncturing their gut lining.
An inkstand used by the British Foreign Secretary in negotiations which helped shape Europe in the 19th century is to go on public display at the home of its former owner for the first time. The piece, a silver box with 2 small bottles, was used by Viscount Castlereagh at the Congress of Vienna in 1814, when the victorious powers met to redraw European borders after the downfall of the French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. That's the latest. BBC News.